Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. All right, guys, it's officially off-season mode now for me. I've recovered from the Jaguars' loss in the wild card round against the Bills. It was tough, but I think I'm over it now. I think what probably helped me a little bit was just the Texans and CJ Stroud losing on Sunday. Now they're out of it. Now I don't have to worry about the Texans potentially going to the Super Bowl and having to hear all these Texans fans in my ear. It was great the way it ended because we've been kind of trying. They've been little brothering us for the past like 3 years about how much better CJ Stroud is than Trevor Lawrence. Now the Jaguars have undisputedly the best quarterback in the AFC South. It's been a great year for Trevor Lawrence and whatnot, but not good enough. Not good enough. We have to figure out how to move forward because obviously they're 13-4 AFC South champions, but first round exits. So obviously a lot of room to go. What's going on, everybody? X-Man says, oh, hell yeah. Karam says, man, I'm so happy. I needed something entertaining tonight. Let's go. Well, I hope I can provide you with that little bit of entertainment. Lusario says, hey, Dalton, what is your draft board looking? I don't have a draft board yet. I don't really even have names right now. I'm just trying to, I'm not a draft guy. I can admit that. I mean, I know maybe different positions to target, but I'm not a draft guy. That's probably a Jin Jag Jordan Lugos type of situation. But, I'm a fan. I have my opinions about what the Jaguars should potentially target. So that's where I'm at. Shout out to Henry. What's up, man? What is up, Dom? Duvalville. What's up, man? So Dom says, miss you, man. Yeah, I miss you guys too. I miss going live every weekend for these Jaguar games. I hate the way it ended. I think for the Jaguars, I wanted to go to at least maybe the divisional round. I wanted to win at least one game. I wanted to make a little bit of a playoff run. We didn't make a playoff run. We went to the playoffs. There was no run. There was no winning, but it is what it is. So, guys, I want to talk about just a bunch of different things about how we're going to focus on this offseason. But before we get into all that, I want to give a shout out to Sleeper, this channel sponsor. They've been gracious with us this season, being the official sponsor of this channel, and they have some awesome promos for you guys over there. Right now, obviously, AFC Championship game this weekend, NFC Championship game, and a Super Bowl. 3 games left. You guys can put some sleeper picks on all those. Basically, take some player stats, go higher or lower on their point total, and potentially win some money over there. I know me. I don't bet a lot. I just like to put $5 or $10 down, and maybe I can make 50 to 70 bucks, right? If you want to do that, Sleeper will make that a little bit more interesting for you. Either a free $20 entry or a deposit match up to $100 using promo code UCFJAG. So really big shout out to them. All right, so here's how I'm going at it. It's James Gladstone time. It's his first full offseason. We have to remember last year, James Gladstone literally got hired on like 2 or 3 days before the scouting combine. And not only did he get a late start, but he kind of had to work with the staff that Trent Baalke had and what Ethan Waugh had. So you saw after the draft and free agency, that's when, or mainly the draft, that's when some of the guys started getting, relieved of their duties. And then he started bringing in his own guys. So now James Gladstone has his own scouting department. He has his own team. Now he really gets some time to assess what the Jaguars are good and bad at. And I can't wait to see him work. I cannot wait to see him work because, he made a lot of good moves this offseason. I will say, there were a handful of bad. I mean, I think the jury is still out on the Greg Newsome and Tyson Campbell thing. Obviously, you wanted to dump that contract, but you could argue that if the Jaguars had Tyson Campbell instead of Greg Newsome in that Bills game, maybe that game ends up differently because Greg Newsome wasn't very good this year. He wasn't very good this year if we're being nice about it. But a full offseason, can't wait to see what happens. Now, he's got some big decisions to make on free agency, most notably Devin Lloyd, Travis Etienne, and Montero Brown. Now, my feeling on this is that, let's start with Devin Lloyd. Devin Lloyd, my gut feeling is that he's out of here. And it's not because the Jaguars can't use him or they don't need him. I think he had such a good year. I think he priced himself out of Jacksonville. I'm straight up. I don't think the Jaguars should allocate the funds there just because, look, he had an up and down 3 years for the Jaguars and then all of a sudden went Super Saiyan mode. Like, I'm not a Dragon Ball Z guy, but Super Saiyan mode, I guess is the best way for me to put it. He went off in 2025. But, now we kind of have to sit here and say, did he go off because it was a contract year? What was it? Giving Devin Lloyd a lot of money, I'll be honest with you, it scares me. It does scare me because we've seen him through different defensive coordinators not succeed, and all of a sudden Anthony Campanelli, who has been a god tier and S tier defensive coordinator, really get the most out of him. And this is a big time worry that Devin Lloyd would be the guy that signs a big contract and flops, right? But ultimately, you're talking about an off-ball linebacker. The Rams historically don't really value off-ball linebackers, so he deserves a big contract. I just don't know if the Jaguars have the money to give it to him because let's be real. He's going to go to a team. There's going to be all these really shitty teams that are just loaded with cap space. I just need to spend money on something and somebody. There's going to be a team out there that just gives him the bag just because they have it and just because he's available. So when it comes to that, I'm probably saying I don't think they're going to retain him. Etienne's interesting. I don't know, because the thing about offense is like it's easier for me to let go of defensive players, but offensively, I just don't want to mess with the synergy of this offense. If Trevor Lawrence likes Etienne, you want to keep Etienne. Like whatever keeps Trevor Lawrence playing at that November and December Trevor Lawrence level, that's the kind of thing that we want. But how much is Etienne going to command? And it's also running back. Running back's a position where it's very devalued. They might feel like they can get another guy in the third or fourth round. To do better than, or not do better than him, but potentially replace him. They drafted Bashal Tutin last year. LaQuint Allen is good in his role. My gut feeling is that, and one thing that stinks is like, and I shouldn't say it stinks. It's been great that Etienne was healthy, but looking back, it would have been nice maybe if hey, maybe Etienne missed 3 games, so we got to see what a full workload of Bashal Tutin looks like, right? Because we never really got to see Bashal Tutin in a starting role. So we have no idea what he looks like as a starter. We don't know what he looks like if he gets 15 carries and 20 touches in a game. So I could see them moving on from him. Monterey Brown is another guy. I don't think Monterey Brown's going to command a lot of money. And you got a good amount of holes when it comes to contracts leaving at the cornerback position. So I think that Monterey Brown could be back. But here's the thing about this free agency, and I know I'm saying it. I don't know how many other people are saying it, but you look at this free agency class, and then you look at you forecast next year's free agency draft or free agency class. Anton Harrison, you have to decide if you're going to pick up his 5th-year option. I'm picking it up. If they don't pick him up, then he's a free agent in 2027. You also have Parker Washington. You also have Britton Strange. Anton Harrison, Britton Strange, and Parker Washington. I'm putting all those 3 guys above all the free agents this year. So, you got to forecast where you're spending money, and that's another reason why I think there's a chance Devin Lloyd and Etienne aren't back. I mean, straight up, because I'm keeping those guys. Those guys are true building block core pieces to this team, and I don't know about these other guys. So we'll see. Hey, Derek's in the building. Colts need Lloyd bad. Hey, we love Lloyd, but I don't know. I think he played his way. I think he played his way into a contract that the Jaguars will not be able to afford. So we'll just have to see. So those are some free agency things that you need to do. So, but here's one thing. My biggest priority right now for the Jaguars is I think the Jaguars need to build a nasty defensive line. I don't want to wait for it. I want to see what the Jaguars can do in 2026 to have a defensive line that we know week in, week out, they're going to be able to get pressure with 4 guys. They're going to be able to be a force to reckon with. And I like Josh Hines-Allen as a true building block. I like him going forward. I do sometimes get a little bit worried about like a Trayvon Walker. I don't know what to do with him. He's a good player. I don't know if he's a great player. And he's another guy, Trayvon Walker, that next year is also a free agent. So I forgot to mention him. So you got to make a contract also, or you got to make a decision also on Eric Armstead. Like, I just think you need to get younger. You need 2 guys. You need another edge rusher and you need another interior guy. And I'd like to go young at both of the spots. The Jaguars tried to make a new move for Quinnen Williams, but they couldn't do better than the Cowboys' 1st-round pick that was offered up this offseason. They were in on the trade, but just obviously Dallas offered a little bit more than the Jaguars. So, but also with this, like, I don't know what you do with Trayvon Walker, because I'll be honest, like, I don't know if I want to pay him. He's a good player. Like I said, he's a good player, not great, but I want an elite player. Like, if we need to, we saw it float around there. Rhino Halloran said, hey, why not the Jaguars trade 2 first-round picks and Trayvon Walker for Max Crosby? And maybe I don't know if that trade is necessarily what I want to do, but I would like to see if we can somehow make a big swing to get some kind of really big time defensive end, defensive tackle, an X factor there. Because Trayvon Walker, it's like he's a typical guy. Like he's going to get a lot of money, but he's good, not great, right? And I don't know if I want my two forces on this defense to be Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. I mean, I look at the Texans. The Texans, everybody's looking up at them. You know, they have Danielle Hunter and they have Will Anderson, right? I mean, that we're nowhere close to that right now. Josh Hines-Allen, I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for because he gets a lot of attention. But, you know, I am down. I'm no longer Mr. Conservative over here. I would not be mad if the Jaguars did something to make a move to get another premier edge rusher, just an X factor, somebody in there like a Max Crosby. And the trade Randall Halloran said, Trayvon Walker and 2 firsts, I wouldn't be mad with it. I really wouldn't be. I think that's fair. And I think, you know, with that, you're bringing in a really good player. I mean, he's 28 years old. He's not that old, but he's an X factor. He's an X factor. So we'll see what happens. Now, the Jaguars also need to figure out what to do with right guard Patrick McCarry. It's just, I don't know. It feels like the Jaguars at right guard, it's always just like old guys that are always playing injured. I mean, you went from Andrew Norwell, Zane Beadles, Brandon Sheriff. You have Patrick McCarry right now. You know, I don't know what the status is with Wyatt Milam. The Jaguars drafted him, but it was almost like they gave him like Wyatt Milam, like a first-round pick quarterback like they did back in the day. Oh, we're going to draft you, and we're going to let you sit and learn for a year before we play you. That's how they deployed Wyatt Milam. They put him in every now and then when they were really in a pinch or they needed a third tight end. But the Jaguars invested a third-round pick in Wyatt Milam. And we saw a lot of rookies play last year. We saw, obviously, a lot of Bashal Tootin, LaQuint Allen, Jonah Mahim even started here and there, Ryan Lane, Jack Kaiser. A lot of people got a lot of play right away, except for our third-round pick, Wyatt Milam. And, of course, he got injured a little bit in the preseason, but he was healthy enough to be active, and he was healthy enough to even play some snaps. So, who knows? Who knows with that one? But I think right guard, I don't know if you run it back with McCarry or maybe they play Wyatt Milam there, but I'm down to keep throwing picks there. I got to keep throwing a bunch of picks at O-line and D-line. And the Jaguars did really well with drafting Jonah Monheim in the 7th round. I mean, he's a legit, will very much probably start for the Jaguars one day. He's definitely the backup center, but Robert Hainsey will one day, be gone. You know how these contracts go. They're usually 2-year deals. So I imagine in 2027, Monheim will be a starter. So I think another thing you got to figure out is Brian Thomas Jr.'s role. Like, what is Brian Thomas Jr. on this team going forward? Right now, the Jaguars offense has a lot of mouths to feed. And the Jaguars tried to make Brian Thomas Jr. the premier piece to this offense. And we saw how it went. It went terribly. I mean, that was awful. The first 4, 5, 6 games for Brian Thomas Jr. He had a good catch here and there, but it was awful. It was hard to watch, and we were all shocked. I mean, I think we had a lot of questions about the Jaguars going into 2025, but Brian Thomas Jr. was an answer. He was not a question. He was an answer. But now, I don't know what you do with him, and there's a lot of mouths to feed. You have Jacoby Myers, you have Parker Washington, you have Brenton Strange, you have, of course, Travis Hunter coming back, and who knows, maybe they fall in love with the rookie. Maybe they have a first-round pick grade on a rookie that falls into the 3rd round, a receiver. So when it comes to Brian Thomas Jr., is his role going forward? Is he a guy that's going to get 3 to 4 targets per game? Is he a guy that's a really good decoy? Is he an outside guy? If he is, then fine. If that's how our offense is going to be good, then that's fine. But at the same time, what if there's a team out there that says, hey, we had a really, really high grade on him in the 2024 draft. This guy could be our wide receiver number 1. We think it's a Jacksonville issue, why he didn't succeed, not a Brian Thomas Jr. issue. We're going to give him 8 to 12 targets per game, and he's going to go off. Obviously, that team values Brian Thomas Jr. a lot more than the Jaguars value him. So could there be a thing where a team values him more, so they want to trade him for something more? I mean, I could see Brian Thomas Jr. maybe not being like Brian Thomas Jr. for a draft pick, but maybe Brian Thomas Jr. for a player and maybe some draft picks involved in there. I'm just saying, I'm not saying trade Brian Thomas Jr., but I think it's very suspicious that we all remember the report that came out that Jaguars are, looking to potentially trade Brian Thomas Jr., right? And I think a lot of us are like, oh, the agent pulled that up. It's no big deal. But really, can we think back on that? There was a legit report that the Jaguars were shopping him. And then they kind of shot that down and we all forgot about it just because there was football going on, right? We didn't stew on it for too long. But like somebody started it. So was it the Jaguars kind of getting some feelers out there? I don't know. So that's something that I'll be honest with you guys. Would I trade Brian Thomas Jr.? Look, everybody has a price. I mean, look, I love me some let's say, for example, I love me some Cole Van Lanen. I think he's a great left tackle. If someone offers me 3 first-round picks for Cole Van Lanen, I'm rushing to the podium. I love Jacoby Myers. Hey, you want to give me, 2 first-round picks in a second? Yeah, obviously. I mean, everybody has a price. Everybody. But I'll be straight up honest with you guys. I think Brian Thomas Jr. gets traded this offseason. I do. I think James Gladstone wheels and deals. I don't know if they know his fit on this offense. I think he gets traded. And don't yell at me for that because people get very, very touchy when you bring up Brian Thomas Jr. So don't yell at me. Remember, guys, I'm not an expert. I'm not an inside source. I'm just a fan. I'm just a football fan. I'm a Jaguars fan. I'm a diehard freaking passionate Jaguars fan. And I share my opinion on the internet, okay? So don't freaking get all your panties in a bunch if I think that the Jaguars are going to trade Brian Thomas Jr. I think they trade him. I'll be honest with you. We'll see what happens. But that's how I feel. That's how I feel. You guys can yell at me in the comment section. So, that's one thing. The cornerback room is also another one. Look, Monteric Brown, Greg Newsome are both free agents. So, Jarrian Jones, Travis Hunter, Lewis are all coming back. So, cornerback room as a whole. Cornerback might be the biggest thing on the Jaguars this offseason. I think safety is good. Caleb Ransall's coming back. Eric had a good year. Antonio Johnson took off. He's a really good player. I think cornerback is something that, probably need to be addressed in the draft. So other than that, those are some things that I would do this offseason, just some things to think about. Also, some other NFL news. Robert Saleh has been hired to the Tennessee Titans. I'll be honest, if I'm a Titans fan, I don't like the hire. I think Titans fans are high on it for 2 reasons. One, they were all scared about getting Matt Nagy. They did not get Matt Nagy, so congrats to them. But, nobody wanted Robert Saleh after his terrible tenure with the Jets. Look, he was an awful head coach for the Jets. Game management bad, strategy was bad, clock management bad, and you just look dead inside. So essentially, you're hiring Robert Saleh saying everything was on the Jets. Everything was the Jets' fault. I mean, I can't believe Robert Saleh is getting a job this quickly after how badly it went over there. But yeah, he's the head coach of Titans. So I'll give Saleh a little bit of advice. Okay. Keep Liam Cohen's name out of your mouth. Okay. Keep Liam Cohen's name out of your mouth. That's all I got to say on that. Some other news, some guys getting some looks. Anthony Campanella gets the second interview with the Cardinals. He also interviewed with the Ravens, interviewed with the Fins as well. But Dolphins, of course, already hired a DC out of the Packers, so no longer a contention there. But Anthony Campanella, if he's getting a second look at the Cardinals probably really like him. I think Anthony Campanella will make an amazing head coach, and it sucks he won't get him for another year. And look, if you lose Anthony Campanella, that's another reason why is Devin Lloyd worth re-signing, right? Is he just successful under Anthony Campanella's scheme? I don't know. So that's one to look at. And then Grant Udinski apparently is a very, very high. The Browns are very high on him. I mean, he's only 30 years old, but the Browns really like him. So we might be losing Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanella, which sucks for us. But hey, let's start building the Liam Cohen tree. Let's start building that Liam Cohen tree. Let's start hiring guys and they get head coach opportunities. Heck, maybe if Anthony Campanella flames out for the Cardinals, we have a safe home right here in Jacksonville for you, buddy. You can come back to us just like Robert Saleh goes back to the 49ers. I mean, you got to congratulate. I'm going to go ahead and be the first one. I'm going to congratulate Robert Saleh on becoming the 49ers defensive coordinator in 2029. Congratulations, man. congratulations. Welcome to the Bay. So yeah, that's one to look at. So we'll see. Outside of that, don't really have much else for you guys. I appreciate everybody for participating over here. And yeah, see, Alex doesn't like it. No, Devil Lloyd only had one good year. Yeah, and if there's anybody out there that is suspicious of a contract year, boom, it would be him. So we'll see. But yeah, with all that said, really appreciate you guys. Drop a like for me. Also, guys, follow me on TikTok. I'm going crazy on TikTok, guys. I'm getting like hundreds of thousands of views per video. It's some insane stuff over there. So go give me a follow on TikTok at UCF_Jaguar. With all that said, appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Go Jags.